In this video, we're going to look at an R script that allows a user to play a word jumble game. Okay, so the first thing is that we're going to read in the words. So I went to this in line 1, you see commented out a website that I went to that gave me a list of 6-letter words, and then I copied them into a file called 6letter.txt. It was on my computer, and I'm going to use the readLines method. Make sure you distinguish it between, say, in 13, you'll see readline with no S and a small L. That's for getting something from a user in the console, but readlines with a capital L and an S on the end is for reading the lines of a data file, and it's reading them all in sort of one swoop, and it's going to create a sort of a fairly simple vector of strings corresponding to each line. Okay, now I could do something, even though here's the data file, just a bunch of and you see when I grabbed this that all the first letter of all the words was capitalized, so I will have to deal with that issue. So each one's on its own line. Now I could probably do something, even though there are no commas in there, I could probably do something like read CSV or something like that, which respects not only the commas but the lines. But then I would end up with a data frame, which is sort of much more sophisticated sort of structure than just a simple vector of strings. But the simple vector of strings was sort of beneficial to me, especially when we get down to line 4. Okay, so let's run that one line. Okay, so now I have a vector of strings, character arrays, if you will. I don't know, 451 of them, better, beyond, so on. I want to deal with that they're capitalized. I could do that sort of as I'm going to have rounds of the game where I jumble up the letters and have the user try to guess the word. And I could, just as I'm dealing with an individual word, put it into all lowercase or correspondingly all uppercase. But I'm going to do that for all of my words here in 3. So I just said I used the method tolower, which is going to put all letters that are uppercase into lowercase, and then sort of reassign that to words. So over here in my environment, you'll see better, beyond, and then it should be after this small b better, small b beyond. So let's run that line of code. Okay, so there it is, small b better, small b beyond. Now, sample takes a sort of a set of options, in this case, the words, and then we can say, usually in sample, you can say how many samples you want, but the default is going to be sort of all of them. And then another sort of standard option within the sample method is whether you want to be able to replace. So if I were simulating dice, I would say replace yes, because if I were rolling several dice, I could get, a 6 more than once. But if I wanted it to get lotto numbers for me, then I would not want repeats, and I would say replace is false. And the replace false, I think, is the default, and the number of samples, the default is, I think, the same as the number of options. So we can get a simple sort of shuffling algorithm out of sample just by giving it sort of no other options. So this is just going to sort of reorganize the words, shuffle up the words. So now it won't be this sort of alphabetical order better, beyond. But now, and then if I were to run it again, it's different order. Okay. And now begins my a game, I'm going to have different rounds. So I have a variable to keep track of which round I'm in. So I start off in round 1. So these vectors have an index, and the index in R starts with a 1. And I'm going to say while the round is less than the length of the words, that might possibly should be less than or equal to 1, because it can get up to the last 1 since we're starting at 1. But I'm not going to play that many rounds of this game anyway. So, but that should probably be a less than or equal. I'm printing out just a bunch of dashes so that this is going to be down in the console, that some sort of separator between rounds, and Noquote does what it says. It's going to take away the quotes of the argument of print. So print is what puts it down in the console, and the Noquote is going to take out the quotes. And then I'm going to, again, use print and Noquote, and then here paste. And paste is sort of, I'll call it a concatenation. And so I'm bringing together just the literal string round space £, and then the actual round number. Okay. Then I'm going to use strsplit, string split. I'm going to take the words vector, the particular element of the words vector for this round. So I'm using an index of the vector, and I'm splitting it on an empty string here. And so that's going to break it up into a set of characters. And but what it produced was a list. Again, something that had more structure than just a vector or an atomic vector. And this sample, I want to jumble up the letters the same way I sort of jumbled up the words, and it doesn't want anything sophisticated in the argument of sample, at least that first argument, the sort of set you're choosing from. And so if I just did Strsplit, I ended up with this list, and the shuffling that I got simply out of sample wasn't working. And hence that's the purpose here of the unlist, to get it back down into that sort of simpler form. Okay, so I'm taking the word of the particular round, and I'm splitting it. I'm making it a simple atomic vector, and then I am shuffling it. And then I'm going to display it for the user, and I don't want any quotes. It is going to show me letters, but the letters are now a vector, and so it's going to give me some default delimiter. Even though I'm getting rid of the quotes, it's going to give me spaces between the letters. And I just decided that was all right with me. And here I am in 13. We are using readline to bring a user input from the console. We are prompting them to enter the jumbled word. We don't know if they're going to put in capital letters or small letters, so I am putting what they entered into all small letters. I didn't do any sort of looking for spaces at the end or anything like that. So I just did a simple, just lowercase. So if they enter some spaces at the end, then sort of that's their problem. Their answer is going to be wrong. We're going to ask if their guess is equal to the word for this round. And if it is, say, correct, good job. Otherwise, we're going to say, use Noquote and paste and print to say wrong, the word was, here was the word. And then we're going to ask them, I'm in a while loop going through the rounds, but this is an awful lot of rounds. So I wanted to give them the option each time to sort of get out of this while loop. So I'm prompting them for, do they want to continue? Y for yes, N for no. And really the only thing I'm checking is the N for no. And if they, even if they enter the word no, that won't be good. They're just supposed to enter the letter N. And I could do a better job there if it was N or no, and then lowercase it and so on, but I didn't. Okay. But if they do enter a simple lowercase n, I am breaking out of the while loop. Otherwise, I'm staying in the while loop and I'm incrementing round. And then when we're done with the while loop, either because we broke out of it by the user entering n, or if you played a whole 450 rounds of the game, 451, if you fix my problem up here in 6, then it will say, however you get out of the loop, it's going to say game over at the end. Okay, so I'm going to do a Control L to clear up the space. And now I'm going to highlight all the code, and I'm going to, if I run it with echo, you're going to see the code as well as what the print, what the user, what we specifically want printed in the console, and what the user's typing in the console. We'll see all the code if we say with echo. I'm going to run it this way without the echo. And so here is my dash line and my round 1, and then here is the word. And I am terrible at this game, but I can cheat up here because I can see at least the first 2 words over here in my environment. So I know that the first word is reader. And also make sure that you click down here. Otherwise, by default, you might be up in the script area and your typing might be there and you might type over your code. So make sure as a user that you put yourself down here in the console before you start typing. I'm typing reader and hitting enter. And then it's saying, correct, good job. Do I want to continue? And I will say Y. And now it's giving me this second word, which is mutual. I'm going to say I think it's a llama. And that was wrong. The word was mutual. Do I want to continue? And I'm going to say no and get out, and it says game over. Okay, so that is just this little for fun R script. Some of the highlights were readLines, which created a vector of the individual lines. tolower and tolower, put it all lowercase, sample to shuffle them up. Noquotes and for printing out, paste, put things together, unlist to get it into a simpler, more atomic data structure. This was shuffling the letters, printing out the shuffle letters. Here's readline with a prompt, getting something from a user, and just some basic, very simple console user interaction. And some basic ifs and loops and what have you. Okay, that's what I wanted to show you. Thanks for your attention.